The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. Once more, into the breach do we go, dear friends.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So we've had the Fed come out today. Now we're probably in the wait and hold mode for earnings after the bell. Up 3.5 points on the S&P cash, although we did have a fairly significant reversal in the market, especially in the NASDAQ. We had some pretty wide swings. Dow's been up, been down, it's been sideways. Crude's up a little bit at that $55 mark. And as we said yesterday, this is, you got a lot of charts saying that somewhere around here is a bearish butterfly in most of those crude related stocks. So keep an eye on that. We'll see how this goes over the next few days. Most of the at least news flow on crude that wasn't demand and supply based is a lot of brouhaha from mid-eastern countries, all saying that yes, we're totally abiding by all our production goals. And of course, we know from history that that's always been a lie, but it seems they can trot it out and bust the stock up or bust crude up 50 cents or a buck on any one day. That never seems to last long until the truth of the matter comes out. So I'm kind of very interested in that energy sector right at the moment. We've got some other ones, but we'll look at them. But interesting close. We're gonna, you've got Facebook and Tesla coming out after the bell. We'll take a look at those. A handful of other earnings, and the question is, we've had a huge run here. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But man, if you can't make earnings now, I think you're going to get severely punished. We're going to look at a couple of stocks and talk about long-term plays in the market over time. And that's kind of about it. In the meantime, as most times, we've got to start the show off with a little bit of history.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1950, most people do not know that two gentlemen from Puerto Rico decided that they wanted to go and kill President Truman at Blair House. This was when they were redoing the White House because it was left in shambles. Literally, the termites had eaten the White House down to nothing, and no one really did anything about it. They spent almost 4 years working on it. Anyway, these two gentlemen didn't really have a plan other than to cause some chaos. And again, it had been a while since any assassination attempts on the president. And of course, the war had pretty much was kind of over. So these two gentlemen that wanted, basically they were two filthy communists who wanted to turn Puerto Rico into a Cuba-like thing, decided that they were going to just go up there and shoot the place up. They ended up killing one. One guy was shot and but lived to tell about it. 2 years later, the president, Mr. Truman, saw his numbers in the turlet, as somebody from All in the Family used to say, the turlet. Decided not to run because of his really horrible numbers. Was going to have Adlai Stevenson run, and trying to get some votes out and some sympathy out of Puerto Ricans. He basically commuted the sentence to life from the death sentence for the people that were trying to kill him. We will find out if you go a little bit further, even to last year, that once happened again. And kind of interesting as history does repeat. In 1979, that communication to life ended up being a huge parole by Carter, also looking for some votes in the Puerto Rican sector in 1979. Of course, he went down to an amazing defeat. And once again, what you find out is that if you want to kill somebody, you better make it political. And maybe one day they'll need votes from maybe whatever section you are at, and you'll get paroled or early termination or something else. But I don't know. I understand the idea of being able to commute sentences and give pardons to those people that deserve it. But both in 1952 and in 1979, this gentleman did not denounce violence, got his pardon anyway. And last year we saw yet another one not denounce violence and get a pardon again for him killing 6 people in the 70s with bombs, also for a Puerto Rican separatist movement and communist ties. But that's if you want to get out, the idea is that paroling you gives you some votes somewhere down the line. Maybe that's one thing we ought to look at changing. I don't think that anybody, the people that died in all those efforts, because a Secret Service man did die in the 1950 attempt, I don't think it was any consolation for his family, even though it was an easy way to buy a handful of votes. What else do we have going on today? Of course, with the end of last month, the NASDAQ 100 closed its books on a 7.2% move higher. And as we've said before, the leadership in this sector has been incredibly narrow. And what do you have? You've got 5 stocks accounted for 6.1% of the 7.2% move, leaving 95% of the stocks in the NASDAQ 100 to bring up the 1.1% of the move. So, again, we've talked about this. We showed the summation charts yesterday. Why don't we do that again, just because I can. Oh, we got a minute here. We'll get into the summation charts. Can I do it just that quick? I can. I don't think I'm going to get it done in that kind of. We'll be back in a minute. But that's about it. So what are we watching? Watching earnings after the bell. We're up about 5 points in the S&P cash. So we do have a little intraday volatility out here. We've seen the SMHs come off their highs. We'll take a look at that, see if there's anything in that. We'll also look at some of the other markets and some of the other stocks going into earnings. In the meantime, give me a call at 877-927-6648. Email me at path@tfnn.com. And, of course, you can always comment in the bin.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls. Now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
As we said the last few days, markets been incredibly stretched and has been for a few weeks. If you look at the advanced decline line in the McClellan oscillator, in either the NYSE or the NASDAQ, you'll see basically the same thing, and that is fewer and fewer stocks each day are closing higher as we see that the indexes become more narrow and more narrow. This one, you've got basically a little bit of juice in the NYSE back up to the line of resistance on the downside on the 5% input for the McClellan oscillator. If we go and look at the NASDAQ, it's even weaker. When we look at it, it actually turned back down, and probably why we're seeing that being the weakest of the sectors today. It's still off 20 on the NASDAQ. Dow's up 48, and the S&P's up $4. So not a whole lot of happening. Of course, we had a lot of volume early in the day in that downswing, 2.5 billion shares as we speak now. But any of the McClellan summation indexes, you want to look at those, all have shown a break. They pretty much match what my models predict on the downside. And the question is just when these two converge, as they've always converged in the past. But I think you can probably expect at least a little weakness. As we go into today, one thing that most people don't think about is that the bonuses for many people on Wall Street are settled yesterday. And it's not uncommon to see huge bounces into things like the last couple of days of October. Some people are actually paid by the close on November, but many people on Wall Street paid on the close of October for the Christmas bonuses. So it's not uncommon to see a lot of the movement that normally is associated with fund buying to come in by October 31st and not see much of it after that. You basically see a lot of people. One of the other things that we probably want to talk about today, too, is tax selling. With indexes at fairly close levels to the high, you're going to see at least some tax selling. What that generally means is that if you've got a stock that's done horrible this year, you've got a stock that did very well this year, you might sell a little bit of, sell all of the one that does horrible and try to offset it as much as you can with the one that did well, and zero out that loss without having to pay any taxes on it. So that's pretty much it. Generally, you don't find people selling the winners that much, but you will see some winners being sold, and you will see generally even a bigger weakness in those that haven't done well so far. So we got about 2-3 weeks going forward that if your stock has not done well and it's bottoming now, it could get worse. It could get worse, a lot worse. And a lot of that is just tax selling in the next few weeks. To question here. Oh, I've got one more thing to talk about. It may take a while. We've got 5 minutes in this segment. Then we'll go and take a look at Avago and some of the other stuff. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, okay, somebody asked me earlier about 3D printing. I think probably because 3D Systems croaked today. It's down a good 20% or more. Now, we rode this up, or I rode this up in the newsletters. We also shorted this thing at like 96 bucks when it was flying high. It's kind of come down. I've been looking for a retest of either the $10 level or the $6 level. Looks like we're going to see $6 in this. But the question basically, the energy on the way down sands today has not been all that big. So I kind of like it already, other than this huge gap down. It may take, another 3 or 6 months. We've talked about why and the different things it would take to get 3D printer stocks back in the ball game. But I want to go back a little bit to my history. And there's the old saying, well, let me put it this way. In the 90s, my claim to fame and most of what we did was small video production, both in special effects and in video editing. The company that we kind of hitched our wagon to makes the device at TFNN that makes this presentation possible in real time. That company built a device that needed 4 other devices. If you wanted to hook 4 different VCRs and edit your video with it, you probably at least needed 2. Our devices were $1,000. Their device was $1,500. So every time they bought and sold one for $1,500, we actually sold 2 with about the same or better profit margins. We sold $2,000 worth of stuff. They hated my guts incessantly. They cursed me publicly. And I'm not exactly sure why, because without our stuff, they probably wouldn't have been very successful. But what I can tell you is that these guys were extremely long on the bull. And when I see companies like Tesla just shout things out without much blowback when they're just blowing bovine excrement, is always a little weird to me. But it comes down to this, and that is that the 3D printer companies had the ability to do exactly what this video editing company did, and that is say that everybody's going to be making Gone with the Wind in their basement. And the reality is a lot of people wanted to get into video production, but if you wanted to make Gone with the Wind, well, there's probably 200 or 300 people that worked on that movie, beyond the people that actually were the actors in it, much less. You have to be a lighting expert, a script expert. You have to be an expert in a lot of different fields to be a good movie director, which is basically what these guys were telling everybody. This goes into the chicken in every pot, everybody's going to be doing it thing. And I've thought much about it in 3D printing. You have to be fairly good at designing things, like a CAD CAM guy. You have to understand a little bit of engineering. So it was never one of these things that was going to be a chicken in every pot. They also, these things, for the most part, over the last few years, have just had the technology of a hot glue gun and a scanner, desktop scanner that you buy for $100. I mean, the components that you have with those two things can pretty much tell you the technology that was available when these stocks started to get hot. But they said the exact same thing that the company that I'd hitched my wagon to, or a company's wagon to, in video production. The reality is that we knew, or at least I knew from doing my own video production for a number of years before I did all this stuff, was that you can pick a part of the business that you like, but on some things you just can't be everything to everybody. You might be good at writing a script, you might be good at directing, you may be great as a photographer, but in movies you have to put all those things together. Now, what happened? No one could have predicted, but I'll talk about it when we come back.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
What I really wanted to get to was the point, though, that you don't really know how things are going to happen in the future. But one thing I was sure of, and that was somebody brought it up, Avid video editing. We were going public. The CEO and a handful of other people who didn't have a clue, they were more bean counters than anything else. I told them that they basically had the budget for about 1/5 of what they needed for the software. I always look for products that were kind of screen passes that we could get out in 6 to 9 months. We could be years ahead of the rest of the people. But my point here is you really don't know how that video editing thing. I wanted to do exactly what Adobe has done, which is start creating software for video editing on computers, more like what Adobe has, which they kind of focus a lot of their products, some on movies, but a lot more for the like YouTube videos, smaller things, not movies, but something that someone can actually do by themselves. And how many people you know have some kind of YouTube channel? Some of them successful, 90% of them not. But a lot of people have YouTube channels, and they have some kind of specialty that they love, and they get into, and they've got one computer. They don't have anything else. They write their script. They shoot themselves. They're the talent, or maybe they've got one person or two persons behind them. There's not a lot of people that have a cast of 30 that are doing YouTube videos, but the reality of the people that are doing Gone with the Wind in their basement never existed. And that's kind of in 3D printing the equivalent. There wasn't going to be anybody that probably ended up building wings for Boeing out of a 3D printer out of their basement somewhere. You got to rein it in. And if the technology always and has been a hot glue gun that can move around, it's not much. But you're slowly seeing these 3D printer companies move to metal and carbon fiber and a handful of other things. These things probably still have a huge capability to make huge profits in the future. But again, specialization, and anytime someone tells you that everybody's going to be doing it, there's a technical term that you hear many times, and that's called total addressable market. I've always said when you hear that from any analyst on Wall Street, run. And, that's generally the big lie in the fundamental analysis of stocks, and that is everybody will do it. The reality for everybody will buy an iPhone or a smartphone is absolutely rare. It's 1 out of 1,000 times that actually is true. The other 999 times it's untrue. So when we're talking about 3D printers, DDD, and 3D systems, they may come back in, and it may be something like an Adobe story where YouTube brings them out. But my guess is that there's going to be the ability for people to start printing at $2,000 or $3,000 metal parts in their house. And that's probably going to be the tipping point in this technology. They're going to be able to build something. It's not going to have to be polished and honed. Literally, you put a part in, or you say you want to build a part, and the part comes out, and maybe you have to do a tiny bit of work on it. That part's ready to go, and it's made out of incredibly good plastics that maybe don't exist today, or carbon fiber, or metal, and these things will turn around. Now, my guess, and why I like this and even talking about it, is that there are a lot of examples of products getting way early to market and then having real tough times. Amazon is one of those. It was $120 stock that went to $10. We've got Netflix that went to almost bankruptcy. And what was the big deal? It slightly changed. The Netflix big deal was when they were able to go to streaming. They'd already built a customer base with what they had. Same thing with Amazon. They were able to take their book business, which makes them almost no money, and turn it into a monster because they had all the infrastructure ready to go to ship and move things. So what you're normally looking at in these big turnarounds is a shift in technology I may not see that yet, but I'm pretty sure I know what the mechanics of that is, and that's going to be some kind of ability to make stuff that's a lot beefier that can be used in real life and not just little plastic toys, which a great deal of people now use. Now, 3D Systems has sold big printers that literally do make the wings of Boeing planes, that make the pressure vessels for SpaceX launchers. So there are a lot of these 3D companies that are making products that truly have a market. But like the guy in the basement, he was never going to replace the movie, the theaters and the Weinsteins of the nation. Now, maybe there's somewhere that these guys can get in and find a niche, and normally you will. You'll find somebody that finally figures out where that niche is. But with almost no machinists left in the United States, the ability to build anything without having to be, a machinist with 10 years worth of knowledge is going to be a big deal. I can only imagine that if we ever got in a big war, the ability to make parts that are only available from China might be monstrous. So there's a lot of things that can change. But two things I want to get across. Anytime you hear everybody's doing it and it's some kind of technical thing, the answer is probably not true. It's probably a much smaller market than everybody's yelling and screaming about. And that it's got to be kind of, my boss used to always say, you want a rifle shot. You don't want a shotgun. And if you're trying to be everything to everybody, you normally don't do well. So I'll be looking at this thing at $6, and maybe if it's down there with light volume, and maybe there's a change in technology, maybe these are the stocks that can go from $6 back to 100, or what was it, never 97 or something. Maybe it's not, but just a thought down the lane, and that is, my experience has been, if you need somebody with all the skills of a movie producer to produce a movie, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. If you want somebody like our products that sold well, all you had to do was be able to make an animation for the local car company so that it could run the local ad at your local affiliate or even UHF station at the time. So that's kind of a rifle shot opposed to a shotgun. A lot of these stuff that both SSYS and DDD both did is certainly going on. They bought a lot of different companies. They bought everything up that they could because they thought that was truly the story. That was that literally everybody would be making something like a replicator on Star Trek. Reality, a lot of work, technology, and you got to have the drive to do it. But I think we're going to have a lot of people in the workforce in the next 20 years that are going to know how to build stuff with 3D printers. So that'll be the good part. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. If you'd like to be the bank and get the type of interest they receive instead of the low interest rates they give to clients, then I have an investment you may want to take a look at. I'm offering 4-year secured first mortgages on buildable city lots in St. Petersburg, Florida. The investment can be anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 per buildable city lot. The interest paid is 7% per year, paid monthly. Depending on the investment, the income per month per lot ranged from $175 for a $30,000 investment to $437.50 for a $75,000 investment. If you are in the CD market, you want to look at this investment. St. Petersburg is located in Pinellas County, which is the densest county in Florida. If you're looking for an investment with your principal intact that pays a good interest rate, this may be for you. The supply is limited, so act now. For more information on these secured first mortgage opportunities, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190. 9190. Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
The TAS Profile Scanner Plus, developed by John Logan and his team, is a standalone piece of software that can change the way you trade. Let the TAS Profile Scanner work for you by scanning over 5,000 financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. Right now, you can get a 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner Plus right at TFNN.com. And when you sign up, you gain instant access to John Logan's most recent webinar, How Price, Volume, and Time Make Market Profile So Unique. This hour-long webinar with John Logan will walk you through the most powerful features of the scanner and how you can use it to become a more successful and profitable trader. You pay absolutely nothing for 30 days while you try out this software risk-free. For more information on the TAS Profile Scanner and to get your 30-day free trial today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Up 5 points on the S&P cash, but of course kind of a big rollover, so we'll have to wait and see what's happening at the end of the day. Tesla opened up a little higher, kind of rolled a little lower. This one's kind of a very interesting earnings play. You've got a stock that traditionally has a ton of short interest in it. So if they can convince everybody things aren't all that bad on earnings tonight, then this thing could probably pop up to 360 again. That's what I'm hoping for, so that I can short the thing. Down here at 320 bucks, with a 30% short interest, I can't take a stab at this. It's not uncommon to see these things go sideways. The downside is this one also has the ability to open up 70 points lower tomorrow. Yes, I'm not kidding. This thing could open up at 250 tomorrow if they can't come up with the right words to say why they can't build a car. This thing is, and has been for years, priced like they build the same amount of cars that General Motors does, and that they can keep a 20% or higher profit margin. The reality is that they'll have in 5 years an 8% profit margin like everybody else. So does this thing take 50 years to get to its stock price today? It's questionable. But there isn't a lot of magic that Tesla has that no one else can get into. Everybody else has a existing dealer market where you can trade in your car, and there's going to be 30 new cars coming in to compete against Tesla. Someone brought up a company yesterday. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. It was Cisco. And I said I didn't like, Intel, Microsoft, those guys basically have monopolies to a greater extent. Cisco does not. Cisco sells routers like they're Cadillacs, while there are more and more people coming in to compete with them literally every day. They do have some products that can't be duplicated. And again, if you're at the very high end of your bank, you're going to buy a Cisco router. But more and more, especially all over the world, a lot of people are worried about having Cisco routers in foreign countries because they think the NSA is infiltrated Cisco, and they're always going to be there. So you got to think about what's going on and what competition can come in the future. Router technology, I think Cisco has a ton of it. And it's probably going to get worse in the near future. Tesla, the exact same thing. Do they have anything that no one else can build? And the answer is no. Of course, they've got this factory that theoretically is going to be building lithium-ion batteries that no one else could build. I just don't see it. The U.S. car companies made a lot of deals with Panasonic and others to build lithium-ion batteries. To me, the thing is, if this ever does take off, the price of lithium will go to the price of gold. And again, people will be driving gasoline cars. The market will react. But I think the biggest thing to me is that there's going to be a ton of these cars on the market. The car companies like General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler have no option. The regulations imposed by the previous administration are going to force them to sell these cars. So there's going to be a lot of these things. They may not be as good as a Tesla, but they may be half the price. Certainly, Tesla does not have a car that's going to come in even for their biggest market, California, that will come in that allow them to get the tax subsidies. Certainly, General Motors will. So if you're talking about a $10,000 tax subsidy that Tesla won't have, that General Motors will have, every time I turn around, the only thing that I know that Tesla has is the kind of people that push Tesla like they push Apple. And, you know, will they have a miss? I think they will. But again, it's tough, and it's kind of highly short. So I'm thinking on the upside, you see this thing go to 360 on a run of the shorts. On the downside, you could see this thing somewhere around 250 or $250 if this thing misses and they don't come up with some really good answers on how they're going to build more than 230 cars a quarter. So we'll keep an eye on that. We also have Facebook. Was watching the hearings today. Found it buried in all the brouhaha today, but it's up a little higher. I don't know if that's because of earnings or the fact that we found out that all this yelling and screaming about the Russians hacking Facebook amounted to $46,000. That's right. I want to tell you this again. The Facebook guy said that all the money they could ever find from Russian and Eastern European forces came to $46,000 in the election, opposed to Trump and Clinton's expenditure of $810 million. So if we want to talk about the drop in the proverbial bucket, this wasn't a big deal. They're talking about promising adding 10,000 people to make this a big, less of a deal in the next year. My guess is that those 10,000 people will never be hired. As soon as this is in the rearview mirror, everybody will say, okay, $46,000, probably not a big deal. We'll work on this thing before the next election, but $46,000 compared to $810 million, if they affected this market, it had nothing to do with what people saw before the election. It had everything to do with the political fallout after. So I don't think that if you're looking at Facebook to, especially in, let's say, in the next 2 years, in the next election cycle, to lose a lot of this money, I don't think it happens. And I think this is one of these stories that's going to be in the far rear view mirror fairly quickly. I thought maybe it would have been a much bigger story. I was looking for the Russians spending $20 or $30 million, or maybe $100 million, but nowhere close. So it's not going to affect Facebook in the future. And I don't know what else you can say about it other than that. Up before earnings, not going to change much. Maybe investors think they're really going to buy these, hire these 10,000 people. But my guess, like I said, is that this is all for the public consumption of blowhard senators that we saw on TV today, and not anything in reality. If that $46,000 number is right, this is just, like I'm going to say, something in the rear view mirror. In LX. Okay, we're up 6 points on the S&P cash now. So we'll look at Netflix out here. Of course, still a lot of yelling and screaming about Hollywood. Seems to be filling the front pages. You had a little bit of effect yesterday, but even sideways today on more of the same, getting rid of House of Cards, or at least suspending it. The news is getting worse on that, but stock price not really reflecting it. So I suspect that all the bad news on Netflix is probably in. If it pulls back from here, it's probably more of sell price than anything else. So a lot of things that could have blown up in the faces the last couple of days seem to have dissipated. We'll be back in a minute.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi, folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Come join me next hour as we bisect and dissect these markets. Right here on TFNN. Wow!
Someone brought up the Tesla deal where they fired 800 people last month, and when you dig into it a couple of weeks later, you know, the front page news, they don't dig very deep, but what you found out was some of the people that were fired from Tesla, about 3/4 or more of them were Solar City employees that they got rid of. They took some of those Solar City employees, moved them over to Tesla, and then fired them. And if you remember that Solar City thing is one of the reasons that their purchase of Solar City was one of the things, because Solar City was going bankrupt. And they bought that bankrupt company, I thought, just for the optics. They didn't want it to go bankrupt and then make everybody think Tesla was going to go bankrupt and all his other the other deals he's got going on with 4 different businesses. I don't think he wanted to have a loser out there, so he incorporated it in Tesla, absorbing the losses into that and firing the people in it by moving them to positions in Tesla and then canning shortly after. A lot of people didn't have jobs for more than 3 months at Tesla from Solar City before they were canned. And I think that tells you everything. They just wanted to sweep that under the rug. They've done it so far. But when you talk about some of the great shorters of all times, like the gentleman that shorted Enron and showed its problems, the amount of problems that Solar City had were monstrous. And you got to think that one day that chicken's going to come home to roost. I don't know if it's today, like I said. They can make the books look good for a little while, but not for forever. Question is that if that's tonight. I would hope that they run the shorts and I get an opportunity once again to pull the trigger short on this thing at 360. I may not get it. But look for that one to be the fireworks after the bell tonight. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. And we'll see you here tomorrow. Same bat time. Same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.